Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The lock on the holding room door snapped open with a metallic click. Krelvox lifted his head from his hands as two Academy officers waited outside, one holding a restraint band and the other avoiding his eyes. 3 days had passed since something at Checkpoint 3 had shattered the comfortable shape of his life. He still remembered the corridor going silent. That silence had started much earlier that morning. Vidian Prime Academy's main entrance had been packed with students when Emma Voss reached his station, drinks steamed in insulated cups. Translation units chirped. Scanner gates flashed green as dozens of species moved toward their first classes. Krelvox had worked Academy security for 12 years. Most mornings blurred together. Then his scanner painted one student's record red. Emma was 17, human, brown-haired, dressed in the same Academy uniform as everyone else. Her identification was valid. Her record was clean. But beside her species classification sat the designation that mattered to Academy procedure, Earth, Deathworld origin. Krelvox felt his posture tighten before she had even spoken. He directed her toward the secondary scanner. One of the other guards, Thenok, leaned closer. Her documents cleared. You could wave her through. The manual requires enhanced screening. Thenok hesitated. The manual gives us discretion. Krelvox ignored him. Emma stepped beneath the auxiliary scanner and raised her arms. Numbers crawled across the guard's display. Bone density, muscle structure, cardiovascular tolerance. Each result reinforced the warnings he had heard during training. Humans were durable, fast under stress, dangerous when cornered. Check your pockets, he ordered. I already did. I'll verify. He moved toward her jacket. A vibration buzzed against the fabric. Emma automatically lowered one hand toward the device inside. Krelvox reacted before thought caught up with him. His palm struck her cheek. The crack bounced off the checkpoint walls. Every conversation stopped. Emma staggered half a step. Her ponytail swung across one shoulder. When she turned back, a bright patch of red spread over her face. Her pupils widened. Krelvox saw almost no brown around them. All the lectures about Deathworld reflexes came rushing back. He retreated. Emma stared at him. Her fists closed beside her legs, but she did not raise them. You hit me. You moved without clearance. I reached for my communicator. Your movement could have been hostile. Her jaw tightened. Then tell me to stop. You don't strike me first and invent the danger afterward. Students were edging away from the checkpoint, though not from Krelvox. From Emma, he noticed recording devices lifting. Thenok reached for the emergency control. Krelvox tried to recover his authority. Humans receive additional precautions for a reason. Emma stepped forward once. He moved backward. The motion embarrassed him immediately. So I'm dangerous because a file says I might be. Your species has documented incidents. And what did I do? He had no answer. Emma pointed toward the scanner. I followed every instruction. You were the first person here who used violence. Professor Quintel forced his way through the students moments later. His chromatic skin shifted sharply when he saw Emma's cheek. Krelvox, did you cause that injury? Krelvox opened his mandibles. No explanation survived the question. Yes. Quintel turned toward Emma. You'll come with me. Administration will document this immediately. Emma kept looking at Krelvox. Am I going to be disciplined? No. For getting hit? Absolutely not. Only then did her fingers slowly uncurl. Krelvox watched the change in her eyes as the stress eased. Brown returned around her pupils. He had interpreted fear as preparation to attack. And because he had expected aggression, every harmless movement had looked like proof. Security arrived less than half an hour later. Krelvox surrendered his badge. By evening, recordings of the incident had reached administrators, parents, embassy officials, and Academy lawyers. 17 different camera angles showed the same sequence. A compliant student, a buzzing communicator, a guard's hand, no weapon, no attack. Nothing that could rescue him from what he had done. 3 days later, the officers escorted Krelvox into Conference Room 7. Headmaster Torvin sat behind the hearing table with Dean Maribeth and legal counsel Parth. Professor Quintel occupied the opposite side. Emma sat beside him. A human man in formal clothing introduced himself as Marcus Webb, counsel for the Voss family and the Human Coalition Embassy. Krelvox took his seat alone. Torvin began. Miss Voss, describe the checkpoint incident in your own words. Emma rose. Her cheek had healed. Her voice was controlled. She described presenting valid identification, being selected for secondary screening because of her planetary classification, and moving toward her communicator when it vibrated. Then she looked directly at Krelvox. I received no warning before he struck me. I had not threatened him. I had not disobeyed an instruction. I had not touched a weapon because I wasn't carrying one. Marcus Webb submitted the recordings. Parth reviewed the files without expression. Torvin turned toward Krelvox. Do you dispute her account? This was the moment Krelvox had spent 3 nights preparing for. He could talk about training, stress, human reputation, reflex. He could make himself sound less responsible. Instead, he placed both hands flat on the table. No, she obeyed the checkpoint procedure. I made the decision that turned it violent. Marcus Webb glanced up. Krelvox continued, but removing me won't remove what taught me to make that decision. Dean Marabeth's many eyes focused on him. What are you suggesting? Krelvox opened his datapad. The Academy instructs guards to treat students from predator-heavy, high-gravity worlds as likely sources of sudden violence. Humans are repeatedly named in that training. We are taught to watch ordinary movement as though it may become an attack. Professor Quintel shifted. The policy predates most of the current student body. It is still in the manual. Krelvox pushed the document toward the panel. You can fire me. You should. But another guard will stand at that checkpoint tomorrow with the same instructions in his head. The room became completely still. Emma had been watching him carefully. Marcus Webb spoke first. Acknowledging institutional influence does not erase personal responsibility. I know. Then say it plainly. Krelvox faced Emma. I was afraid of what you were supposed to be, so I stopped paying attention to what you were actually doing. Emma's expression changed. Not forgiveness. Something harder. Something sadder. She stood. I came here because this academy advertises itself as proof that different species can live and learn together. Her hands rested against the edge of the table. I spent 3 years earning my place here. Then, during my first week, an officer decided my birthplace mattered more than my behavior. Nobody interrupted. Emma pointed toward her own eyes. You were frightened when my pupils expanded. Krelvox nodded. That happens when humans are under severe stress. Fear can do it. Anger can do it. Shock can do it. My body reacted because an authority figure had just struck me. Krelvox felt his stomach tighten. Emma looked across the panel. There are students here who produce venom. Others can breathe chemicals that would poison me. Some can lift more than humans ever could. Yet they are screened according to conduct. Humans are screened according to reputation. Marabeth's eyes shifted toward the security manual. Emma's voice sharpened. I don't need this academy to pretend humans are harmless. I need it to stop treating danger as something printed beside a species name. For the first time since the checkpoint, Krelvox saw the whole event without the shelter of procedure. Emma had been surrounded by strangers, hit without warning, then watched as half the corridor reacted to her fear as if it confirmed the accusation against her. And still she had not attacked him. Marcus Webb asked whether she wanted criminal charges pursued against Krelvox. Emma shook her head. I want accountability. But if you punish one guard and preserve the rule that trained him, you've repaired nothing. Krelvox lowered his gaze. That was the moment his certainty finally broke. Not when Emma's pupils had swallowed the brown of her eyes. Not when security removed his badge. Here. While the student he had injured argued for changing the machinery that had helped him injure her. The academy dismissed Krelvox 2 weeks later. It also issued an apology to Emma, removed the Deathworld screening section from its security rules, created an oversight committee, and gave Emma the first student seat. Krelvox found employment at a cargo depot. The work lacked prestige. He scanned freight containers, checked manifests, and directed loading crews through numbered bays. 6 months passed. Then a small paper envelope appeared in his employee locker. Emma had written to him. She had completed her studies at the top of her xenociology program. Her final thesis examined institutional prejudice across mixed-species schools. She had interviewed hundreds of students and included Krelvox's testimony among the evidence that pushed Vidian Prime toward reform. She did not excuse him. She did not need to. He kept the letter. One evening, while returning from the loading floor, Krelvox passed a group of new workers receiving safety instruction from Shen, the depot supervisor. A trainee raised a tentacle. What about species classified as unusually dangerous? Shen tapped the training tablet against his palm. We classify situations, not people. Watch behavior, communicate clearly, and don't invent a threat before one exists. The trainees nodded. Krelvox stopped beside the doorway. Above the training station hung rows of temporary identification badges. Human, Thexian, Manthari, dozens more. All printed on identical white cards. Shen gathered them into one stack and fed them through the same scanner. One after another, every badge flashed green.